paste fishing, a really exciting way of catching big weights of carp. I'm going to show you exactly how. Well, you can fish paste any distance out, but definitely the closer in you can fish, the better. Sometimes on some venues, even just a top kit out can be really good, or down the margins later on especially. But if in doubt, if you're at a venue you've not fished paste before, just go a top kit and a couple of sections, 2 or 3 sections out, 6, 7, 8 meters. That's prime paste range really. And if you're not catching there, you can always chase them further and further out. But the further out you go, it just gets a little bit more awkward. So the more efficient and smoother you can fish, every time you miss a bite with paste, you obviously have to come back and rebait. So the closer in you can do it, the better. And I just think a top kit and 2 or 3 sections is absolutely perfect. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm at Alders Farm today on Pines Lake, which is a lovely lake. Lots of carp in. There's a lot of bream in here as well, which we might see as well on the paste. And the peg I'm on today is just going away and away and away. It's quite a nice gradual slope. So I've just come sort of top kit and 3 sections. If it's really, really good, I'll come a section shorter. If it's a bit hard, I'll go a section further. That's just dunking on the bottom there. If I go a little bit further, it will just start to disappear a little bit. But I want the whole body of the float and a little bit of the stem showing when I'm plumbing up, because once you get that weight, that big weight of paste comes down, if you fish dead depth, it will just sink your float. So you need that little bit extra depth, and in my experience, if you go about 2 inches over depth, that's a good place to start. But I will make little adjustments. I might find I have to go a little bit shallower or a little bit deeper. I've got a good sort of about 15 inches of line above the float, so I can move the float up and down to suit. But that's going to be my starting spot. There's no wind or tow or anything, so I think once my paste hit the bottom, it's not going to sink that float under. So that's how I'm going to start off. Drop the rig straight in and see if we can catch one. Wet your fingers, just make sure the paste doesn't stick to your fingers. About, I don't know, a Brazil nut size of paste. Don't overwork it too much, I don't think. And then I'm just going to pop 20-30 4mm in there. We'll talk about what to feed with paste. Make sure nothing's caught up around anything. And just ship out nice and smoothly. So my paste pot is just a few inches back from the pole tip, so I'm going to lean forward a few inches when I deposit that paste. Drop it in. That's it. A little plop, and then I'm going to come back to my comfortable seating position. Oh, a little wobble straight away. Oh, we missed that. That might be just me not getting the rig quite right just yet. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up the float just I don't know, 1/4 of an inch. I'll make all sorts of quick adjustments first. The first 5-10 minutes, I always think you're just settling yourself in, and then after that, you're working, you're in business, and you kind of know where your rig needs to go and everything. I'm not going to feed this time. I'm just going to pop the paste in on its own, because we've already fed. I don't mind missing an odd bite or my rig not sitting quite right for the first 1 or 2 drop-ins. Again, lean forward a little bit, plop. That little plop on its own can be enough attraction sometimes. Now, like I say, this is a fast method. I fully expect bites quick on paste. Ooh, a couple of little dibs and dabs then. There's some big bream in here, there's carp, there's I don't know if there's many roach in here, if at all. But there's some real nice big bream. I'm sure we'll catch a few of those today on the paste. and some lovely big carp as well. So that pace is there. It dipped and dabbed just a couple of times, but don't strike at any of that. We're just waiting for that positive wallop under. Or sometimes, especially with bream, sometimes the bream go down and swim up and they'll dislodge that bulk and you'll see the whole body of the float show. So anything like that I'll strike at. But leave all the little fussy bites, all the little dibs and taps alone. I'm not going to leave it in for long, just a couple of minutes. We're close enough to be able to quickly come back, rebait and go back out again. But I'm confident my pace is still around that hook. We're just waiting for it to wallop under. A few little dibs and tabs. Sometimes it can be a little bit funny in the peg if there's any amount of bream and skimmers amongst the carp as well. They give you the sillier bites. So I won't hesitate to put a much bigger ball of paste on if we're having any problems with bream and skimmers. Although they are quite a nice size in here, so I don't mind catching them at all. So we'll just give that a little bit. We just give that another 30 seconds or so, and then I'll come back and rebait again. I went in without feeding any pellets that time, didn't I? So we'll come back, and this time we'll definitely feed some pellets again. But softly at the beginning. There's no need to feed piles and piles of bait. We just wanted to find our hook bait really, and a little bit of extra attraction from a few pellets. Later on we could start feeding a lot heavier, but I don't think there's any need to. So I'm not even going to break down the top kit here. I've got my pole roller perfectly positioned behind me. That just means I'm going to be even smoother going out. Get a nice big bit of paste. We'll go a little bit bigger this time. Plop it in the pot. I'm going to put some more 4mm again, 20, 30 4mm. So it's a pretty quick tactic this. If there's fish in the area, you'll catch pretty quickly on the paste. There we are, plopped it in. Just try and do everything as smoothly as possible. A bit of a wind getting up now. Just waiting for that float to wallop under. So that's just sunk a little bit. Might be just towing a little bit now, so that just pulls the bristle down a little bit more. It's working against that paste. Whoop. Ooh, it popped up. That's me. Should have let that one develop a bit more. No problem. We won't feed again. We'll just go straight back out. I say the first 2 or 3 goes, it can sometimes be a little bit finding your footing. Once you settle into a nice rhythm, we should be catching a few fish. Nice and smooth. I've not fed any pellets this time, just going in with the paste. The paste is so attractive on its own that you don't always have to feed. On a venue like this, a nice prolific venue, we're at Alders Farm today, you can get too many fish in your peg. There we are, that was a nice bite, wasn't it? So yeah, we don't want loads and loads of fish in our peg. That's when you have all sorts of problems. Yep. Where are you going, mate? They're quite wiry fish in this place. They do like to pull a bit. But yeah. Just 16 to 18 slick. I've not gone gung-ho with the elastic today. No need to fish really, really heavy because, like I say, there are some nice bream and skimmers in here. And we don't want to pull out of those because they're 2, 3, 4 pound a piece, some of them. We gotcha. There we are. Nice carp to be starting off with. 3 or 4 pound. I'm going to say 3. Quite lean, that one. Yeah, there we are. We're up and running. So I'll feed this time. Helicopters. Oh, there's two of them. Come to watch me pace fishing. So I've got a bit of bristle showing. I might even take a little shot off and show even more bristle. It depends what's happening really, but if that's sitting a bit low, like it probably is just a little bit lower than I wanted. Oh, yeah, I'm going to take a shot off. Think it, do it. We do it, like I say, get all the nonsense out early doors. I can quickly take a little shot off. Got an air display going on overhead. Yeah, I've just took a little shot off my rig. It was just sitting a little bit low. Right, back out, just a bit of paste. It's definitely not a method for dotting down a float. You need a bit on show so you can read what's going on. And just because that ripple's got up now, it's just going a little bit harder to differentiate the liners and dips and plugs from a proper bite. That's better, a bit more bristle on show now. Come on then, wallop under. Whoop. Nearly struck at that. See, if I'd have left that shot on, I would have struck at that. It's already starting to fizz a little bit, which is not a problem with paste. I think it just shows they're grubbing on the bottom and really searching out for that big soft hook bait. Ooh, they are. Ooh. So I'm going to go in a little bit firmer pace this time. Just slightly firmer bit, because there's clearly a few fish and bodies down there mooching around. Not going to feed this time. Just make sure nothing's wrapped round, that's it. There's already an odd little fizz and bubble down there. Plop. Now this is slightly firmer paste. I've got two consistencies of paste. One which I class as like sloppy, and one which is like much firmer, like what I almost call plasticine paste. So we're going with the firmer stuff now, because there's definitely some fish knocking around down there. Playing football with it. There you are. Oh, wow, I didn't need a strike because that one pulled my pole tip down. But we'll talk about paste consistency in a bit as well, but that one liked the firmer stuff. Just plodding around down by my feet, this one. There's some lovely fish in here. There we are, straight away. About the same size as the last one. Good stuff. Where's he hooked? Right in the middle of the top lip. Oh, let's gorge this one. Come on. There we go. Lovely. Right, there's plenty of fish out there, but let's have a quick look at the rig because I'm itching to get going again. The most important part of the setup really is a long bristle pole float. You just need to be able to read those bites. Obviously you've got a great big hook bait on. There's no need for sensitivity or finesse really, but you need a bristle that you can read and try and understand what's happening on the bottom. So I've got a 2-inch bristle there. I prefer a nice slim float, 0.2, 0.3 gram, 4x12, something like that. I'm fishing in 5 foot of water. You don't need a heavier float unless it's windy or towing or a really deep venue. So about 0.2, 0.3 gram float is ideal for me. Glass stem, carbon stem, you want something nice and strong. I think a slim float's better as well because the line's pulling taut a lot with this sort of style of fishing, and you don't want any line cutting into the body of the float. It's just a sight bob to help you read what's going on. So a big thick bristle, that's what you need. Line is also really important. 023 main line. There's not much point going finer than that. Maybe if I was pace fishing for F1s, I might fish an 020 main line, but 023, no nonsense main line. And then I like a 6-inch hook length of 020 or 023, depends on the venue. Today I'm using 020. Some venues where you're fishing for like £10 plus fish, just fish 023 main line, 023 hook length or stronger. So and the hook, I've got a size 12, or you could even use a 10 MXC2. Nice strong wide gape hook. It needs to be strong. I don't like it being too thick on the wire gauge because I just think it's harder for the fish to suck it up. Some people use really thick, brutal looking hooks, but I want it to be a medium to strong hook, but not too thick, not too heavy, because they need to suck the whole lot in. And yeah, so that's it. Down the line at the moment, this float just takes 4 number 9 cube shot. I've got it about 2/3 down the line. Now I could shove all those shot all the way up under the float, and a lot of people like to fish pace completely no shot at all down the line, and with those shot under the float I can do that easily, and I might do that today. There's been an odd swirl. You will catch an odd fish on the drop. I've had a bream on the drop today already. They will have it on the drop, and these fish, they just follow that pace home in, and boom, they've had it before it's even reached the bottom when they're really homed in on it. But generally, to begin with, I have it halfway to 2/3 down. I just think it helps add a little bit of stability, straightens the rig a little bit. You've still got plenty of line here that they're not going to catch the body of the fish or anything, but also it just exaggerates. If a fish has picked up your pace and swam up with it, that helps exaggerate a lift bite as well. So and the more it tows than that, the more I'll have shot down the line. But I've got no problem shoving it all up under the float as well. And the only other thing I've got probably, what's that, 14, 15 inches of line above. There's no need to go really short. If it's too short, any sort of abruptness, any sort of gust of wind, you've suddenly twitched your float. As soon as you twitch that float, you're twitching the hook out of the pace. So don't go too short on the lash. A back shot, 1 or 2 or even 3 number 8s. If it was windy, I wouldn't hesitate to have 3 number 8s and create a nice L shape to hang on to, because you want the wind to buffet this and not the float. Any sort of abruptness to the float will drag the hook out of the pace. So you're trying to present that pace as still as possible on the bottom without anything dragging it out the way. And then the last bit of the rig, I've got 16 to 18 slick, strong gear. It's not absolutely like animal taming elastic today, but I think that's nice for here, especially because there's silverfish, bream, tench and all sorts as well. And then a pace pot. Now, because I'm only fishing about 5 foot of water, I don't need my pace pot too far back, and actually our large flexi toss pots are brilliant because that's how they come as standard, and obviously they come with 1 extender ring which I can pop on, which is fine. I could use that for the pace today, but you can pop a second one on as well and make an even taller pot. That allows you to put your paste in and some extra feed. So that's a little trick for you there. Extend your large flexi toss pot. But I think you need a U. When you fill the paste into the pot, you need that U shape there. So your paste is in there and your rig comes down in a U. And that way your rig's not going to tangle over it all and everything. So if it was a deeper peg, or if I was fishing much further out, I'd want my paste pot further down, and that's when I might swap to a designated paste pot which has a larger hole, just so you can pop it much further down the rig like it is there. But actually for this, and if I'm margin fishing as well, or it's shallow water, anything up to sort of 5 foot, our large flexi toss pots are absolutely perfect and the right distance away to create that U shape without creating any tangles. So that's the rig, nice and strong, and yeah, more than enough for catching these big carp in these venues. Right, we've had a good run of fish. They went a bit funny for a little bit, and we've definitely got some bream in the peg now, which I kind of expected to happen. But we've even had a bream on the drop, we've had a carp on the drop, we've had a tench within a second of the pace hitting the bottom. So no shortage of fish down there. It's just definitely trying to distinguish what is a bite and what isn't, and the firmness of paste. Now I'm on a much bigger, sloppier bit of paste, but early doors, definitely having plenty of bristle showing and a firmer bit of paste, and counting to 2 before striking. See, I'm not striking at that. I'm not striking at that. Don't be in any rush to strike. There's a lot of fish down there. And yeah, just wait for it to go under, count 1, 2, then the strike, because sometimes it'll pop back up, and it's just the sheer number of fish down there. See, that's dancing around. There's definitely some bream there. See it fizzing, but I'm confident my hook bait is the most attractive thing down there. A big cluster of bubbles just came up. And if this gets a bit silly, all I'll do, I'll move a metre or 2 to the left or the right and start again, or go further out. Or if there's loads of fish, I'll come a section closer in, because there's definitely a lot of fish there now. And sometimes you can have too many fish in your peg and they can kick up the bottom too much. So don't be a slave to the one swim. If it's not going right and you're suddenly tearing your hair out, missing bites or foul looking fish, just start a new swim. Those fish won't be far away and you'll be starting on a fresh bottom. I almost think that's what's happened now, because we had a lovely run of fish, and obviously once you hook a fish, they kick up the bottom as well. There's a swirl near my float now, so there's all sorts of nonsense going on. I'm tempted to start a new swim, but we'll see if we can we'll persevere for a little bit and just see. I think that's been wafted off the hook already, that bit of paste. Yeah, we'll come back and bait on. We'll put a firmer bit on now. I say when there's lots of fish there, go firm. Right, hooking the paste. First things first, dip your fingers in your tub of water. That stops the paste sticking to your fingers. And then I'm going into my firmer mix this time. Get a roughly sized bit you want, and I tend to flatten it, and I pop it in the middle and then just fold it over the top. That's it. I don't overwork it. The more you overwork it, it becomes like plasticine. And for the firmer paste, it's not so important, but I think for the sloppier paste especially, don't overwork it. There's no need. Just 1, 2, 3, boom, and pop it in the pot. So some people give it an extra little dip. That just gets it working again, and it helps it exit the pot again, and just makes it a little bit slimier. I'm sure it gives off a little bit more of a scent trail. And then you can pop it in the pot. What you could do as well, some people prefer to put the feed in first and then the paste on top, or you could do it the other way around, paste and then the feed. Mix it up, try both. But that's perfect for getting out there and feeding now. Some days you just want to just go in with your paste, but today they definitely seem to want some pellets with the paste as well. It's been noticeable if I've just gone in with my hook bait, it's not been quite so good. And we could always spread those pellets about. We could loose feed or throw or catapult to create a bit more of an area. Maybe we just need to spread those fish out a little bit more. Ooh. So we missed that one. Shot under. But I'm too busy talking to you to count to 2. So go in with the paste. A few pellets, not quite so many this time. Yeah. But it doesn't take long to come back at this sort of distance. Come back, bait up. It's a small price to pay having to rebait every time you miss a bite, because when you do hook one, it's great fun. One, see that popped up before I counted to 2. 1, 2, yeah. See? Definitely worth counting. There's a few fish in the area now because a couple swirled a bit further out. Whee, come back you. Just keeping the pole nice and low. Almost pointing it at the fish. Now I could throw some pellets there now if I wanted and settle them for the next fish. In fact, we might just do that. Create a bit of an area. And that might spread them out a little bit because I think almost we've got them all on top of each other. Yeah, straight in. Whoop, that was lucky. Oh, it popped out in the net. Yeah, so I've fed some bait now. The peg's already primed, but I've fed an area of pellets now rather than all down in a heap. I think sometimes when there's a lot of fish there, especially because there's a lot of bream and skimmers in this lake, spread them out a little bit. Obviously, once they're down there kicking up the bait anyway, they're going to naturally spread the bait anyway to some degree. Pop a smaller bit of paste on this time. Little dunk in the water again just to get it leaching off those goodies. So we'll see if that worked, throwing those pellets in. I'd like to think it will. I'm always trying to make sense of what's going on down there and trying to adjust my feeding accordingly. But that was a good example that time, just waiting and waiting until you're sure it's on. Counting to 2. The wind's got up now. That back shot's really important because it stops the line forming a D and obviously dragging the float off course. That float needs to stay where it is. So I'm hanging on to that back shot, creating a bit of an L shape with the rig. Well, the all-important paste itself, I'm a massive fan of green paste. Don't ask me why, I don't know why. I've just got a lot of confidence with using green paste. I've been using it for 10 plus years and it always seems to work nicely for me. So green paste, what I've been using for the last 2 or 3 years is actually Method 50/50 Method Paste Green. And all I do, I just sieve it off a little bit, and I always carry a big tub of it there in a clip seal tub like that. It's just sieved off a little bit just to take out the coarser bits. Basically, the finer your paste, the more it will congeal around the hook and stay around the hook. The coarser your paste, the faster it will break down. So the finer the paste, the better. But what I've been given to try today, or given to try, is some marine green 1-to-1 paste, and that's what I've been using today. And it's a bit more convenient, all ready for you in one bag, and it's 50/50 paste. So that's what I've knocked up today. So I've got a little measure. I'll pour in 1 measure of that, roughly, and then the same of water, and then that's it, 1-to-1. Mix it all up. Now you'll look horrified at this when you start off. It just looks like a liquid, just liquid like that. You think, well, that's not right. But if you give it, well, 10, 20, 30 minutes, it will set into a paste, and all the particles will be nicely saturated. It's already thickening up a little bit, but it just looks like an unusable sloppy porridge. But this is exactly the same paste half hour later, and it's quite a firm paste at that, so that's a nice starting point. When there's a lot of fish like there has been in my peg today, the firmer paste is better. Or if you've got a venue that's full of little marauding little roach and that, firm bits of paste can be really, really good. And so that's what I have. So I've got a nice bit of paste there. That's exactly how it says to mix it up on the packet, 1-to-1. But what I do have as well is some sloppier paste. I'll just add a little bit more water, and I've always got a tub of water on my side tray. You must have water on your side tray for paste. And I'll just wet it up a little bit more as I go along. But I personally think, given a choice, the wetter the paste, the better. The easier it is for them to suck it in and slurp it in, the better. And really sloppy paste the top paste boys, that's what they use. It's a bit harder to work with, it's more likely to come off the hook, but you do get more confident bites, and I think you fall warier fish on sloppier paste. So I have two consistencies, and sometimes I'll have a big bowl with lots of paste in, and one half of the bowl will be wetter than the other half, so one half's a bit firmer and the other half's a little bit wetter, so you don't have to have two separate bowls, but for today I have. So that's my paste, and then to feed with the paste, I've done really well in the past feeding paste over hemp. You're not allowed hemp here. Paste over corn is really good. Paste over 4mm and 6mm pellets are also very good. I think if you feed something heavy, hard, dense particles and then fish something really nice and soft over the top of it like that, that is the most attractive thing for a wary carp to suck in without any sort of caution. Whereas it can be a bit warier having the heavier particles. It can slurp that in effortlessly, whereas it has to a bit more effort to suck in and crunch those pellets or hemp or corn or something like that. So you're creating a nice heavy bait on the bottom to fish a nice big sloppy ball of paste over the top. That's how I like to fish it. In much shallower water, down the edges, I still quite like micro pellets. I like fishing micro pellets down the edge with all sorts of baits, and it just works really well with paste. But I think once you get over sort of 2.5, 3 foot of water, I do prefer to fish larger, heavier particles. Just make the paste, your hook bait, the most attractive thing. That's what you got to get into your head. That's the easiest and most attractive thing for those carp to suck in. So that's what I put on the hook, but I give them plenty of heavy particles to mop up over the top. I'm through some 4mm, and I've just gone in with my hook bait. There's a carp actually swimming. Oh, it's just gone around my pole float. But there's definitely a few fish knocking around now, up in the water, and definitely getting more fizzes and bubbles and a little bit of nonsense in the peg, suggesting maybe I just need to start a new swim in a bit. I would normally go further out. Ooh, but I'm tempted today because by coming closer in, I'll probably get less bites, and almost need to thin the fish out. So normally, the harder it gets, the further out you go. But sometimes it's harder purely because there's a lot of fish down there. So I'm tempted to come closer rather than popping on a pole section. Let's see if we can catch 1 or 2 more here first. So I'm just sort of thinking about my next move. But yeah, I think as it's getting a little bit warm and there's shoals of fish moving closer and closer to me up in the water, that's playing with it. Yeah, little clusters of bubbles. And don't be scared to put the plummet on and replumb your peg. On some venues, especially if it's a very silty venue, they'll gouge out 1 inch or 2 of the silt. And that might be why you suddenly start missing bites or your float suddenly sinking a little bit more. There we are. Ooh. Float went sideways then. Pop a big sloppy bit on again. Shouldn't have done that, right next to that leaf. Go on, settle. Right next to the leaf. There we are. That was almost on the drop. Not sure if it's a carp or a bream. I think it is a carp. Came in like a bream. Yeah, it's a carp. I'm going to come closer though after this. As soon as we've got this in, I'm going to replumb a little bit closer in, because there's a lot of nonsense going on there now. It's fizzing and all sorts, and I think there's a few bream about. And I think if I come a little bit closer, hopefully, well, we're starting on a fresh bottom, and they'll be a little bit more settled, I think. So let's do that. Let's pop a plummet back on and just come. I'm going to fish on the join of my number 4 and my number 5. And just go out and just see where we were fishing, just make sure we were all right, because sometimes your peg gets deeper. If they gouge it out, then that's not moved, that's still the same depth. Yeah, I'm just going to come to about there on that join. Yeah, it's about 3 inches shallower. And maybe just starting on that cleaner bottom can sometimes give you a run of nicer bites. It doesn't take long to do that. I'm not going to change my lash or anything. I'll leave it as it is. I don't mind it being a bit longer. A little bit shallower. But I think there's a lot of commotion where I was fishing. So yeah, that's nice. Yeah, lovely. We'll just start afresh there. Exactly how we started off the session, just with a bit of paste and a few pellets. Let's get a medium bit of paste on. Plop it in. 20-30 pellets. The join, level with that pallet on the opposite bank. Just trying to negotiate that leaf. That's it. All right, we're back in business. Oh, what was I saying about bites on the drop? That's crazy. That had it on the way down. He's an angry one, isn't he? It's nice when you don't have to strike and they just pull the elastic out. There we are. Oh, just pop the hook out. Lovely. Well, that was worth changing swims, wasn't it? Well, the way I fish paste, I pop my paste in, so you've got a lot of line everywhere here, so you need to declutter your side tray and all your paraphernalia around your peg. You don't want too many attachments, you don't want a feeder arm going off. I even have a shorter leg at the front that my keep net bar runs off. So I don't have the full length leg, because I just don't want anything to catch. Same as my fish counter, that's to my right, that's out the way. And also I've put my paste in from the left, so I tip it out that way as well. It's obvious when you think about it, but I see some people, they'll put it in that way and then they'll tip the pot the opposite way, and that's going to rip the rig out as well. But you need everything to come in and out from the same direction, and whilst you've got this nice U shape here, there's a bit of a breeze today, you don't want this catching on anything. So declutter your worktop, your workstation, and you'll have a lot less, you'll have more hair at the end of it, because it's little things like that can make pace fishing less enjoyable. But get all those sort of basics right, fish nice, smooth, unhurried, and it's a lovely, lovely way of catching fish. Oh, nice fish to end on. Definitely a bigger ball of very sloppy paste has been best at the end. A little firm ball to begin with and a big sloppy ball to end with. That's a nice one to end on. So lovely way of catching fish, really rewarding, and nice simple strong rig, and it's just about tweaking the feeding a little bit, what particles to feed, and the size and the consistency of paste. And once you get that right and just get your depth just perfect and work out when to hit those bites, it's a lovely way of catching fish, and it wins a lot of matches with loads and loads of fish like that. If there's a big weight tactic out there that's better than paste, I've yet to see it.